So first off, before we begin, I think it was February 1st to now. I quit my job at Amazon, and I'm working YouTube and Twitch and Patreon. I'm doing YouTube full time. I'm doing all that full time. So if you want to support the channel by clicking the join button, I think the lowest tier is like $1, or my Patreon is only $1. If you could please support the channel, I would surely appreciate it. But so the 93rd Academy Awards just recently happened, the Oscars, and it made me remember, fuck, I need to check out this movie. And so last night I finally got done watching for the first time Sound of Metal, and this is a remarkable, evocative piece of filmmaking here. I mean, our main characters are Reuben Stone and Lou, played by Olivia Cooke and Riz Ahmed, and not only is this is some of the finest acting I've seen from Olivia, and probably the best performance from Riz, but this whole thing. So Derek C. in France actually came up with the story for this, and it is such a missed opportunity that Derek C. in France did not direct this film. Had he directed this film, I probably would have gave it a 10 out of 10. For this movie, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. There's something about the atmosphere of this movie that just sort of, it just seeps into your bones, and just I was just a whirlwind of emotions when this movie ended. and while watching it, there was some inner turmoil while watching this movie. I mean, Reuben, when we first see Reuben at the beginning of the film, he's shirtless, he's got all these tattoos, he's got this bleached hair. Olivia Cooke, even though it's just her eyebrows are bleached, but despite this small little nuance, Riz seems like this totally different person. Like Olivia Cooke, despite this little slight variance, like she genuinely feels like a different human being. And I've seen her act quite a bit up until this point, so their performances are outstanding. When we first see Reuben, you know, he's playing at the drums. It almost gave me a little, it almost reminded me of Whiplash, this movie, just a tiny bit, but well, it's probably because the main character is so passionate about his arc, about his intentions. But when we first see Reuben, he's shirtless, he's got these tattoos, he's playing on the drums with his rocker girlfriend. They're just thrashing, you know. And on his chest it says a tattoo, it's a real tattoo, at least for the character, that says "Please kill me." And like that just the opening. Like the first 3 minutes just tell you so much about Lou and Reuben, their relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend. And you know, they travel around in this old beat up thing, and all of a sudden Reuben, his hearing starts going out, and he begins to realize that he's becoming deaf and he's about to join the deaf community. And throughout the film, like, Reuben is he's just relentlessly, electrifyingly, he is just resisting. Like the whole movie, he is just resisting the fact that he's becoming a deaf person, you know. And he used to be a drug addict, addicted to heroin, and a big crux of the film is when Reuben, he goes to stay with Joe in his community, a deaf community, to try to come to terms with this, you know, this out of nowhere abrupt transition that Reuben has to make. But man, you know, this movie. First off, I love the quiet storytelling with this movie. You know, a lot of this movie, a lot of sequences, they don't even have music. You know, you're just hearing. A lot of scenes, you're just hearing the world, you know. You're hearing the wind rustle against the trees. You're hearing the birds chirping. You know, you're hearing the floorboards creak as people walk past, you know. Oh my God, the sound design is so immersive here. Let me see here, but yeah, a lot. This movie is filled with quiet storytelling. If you've ever seen 2013's Blue is the Warmest Color, or if you've ever seen any films from Darren Aronofsky, like The Wrestler, namely, or The Fountain, or any films from Derek C. in France or Terrence Malick, you know, a lot of the quiet storytelling that can be found in those films can definitely be found here, and I like this approach. I like this approach, you know, because the film is Sound of Metal is dealing with a very human, it's a very grounded human storytelling level that we're at, and we're dealing with a very human storytelling. So it's nice that every scene doesn't have like some giant sweeping orchestra playing in the background or some tension-filled music. Like sometimes quietness, sometimes less is more. And the sound design in this movie is, because this movie, I know it won 2 Academy Awards. Let me double check here. Yeah, so it won for Best Film Editing and Best Sound. Yeah, this easily is the best sounding movie of last year. Just like at the beginning, when we kind of get a sense of Reuben's life, seeing him do push-ups, seeing him fidget with the coffee maker, seeing him like look out a window and hearing sounds, and then when he goes deaf, you know, like he has to put his arm. Or no, he has to put his hand on the coffee maker to feel it, since he can't hear it anymore, right? Like there's a moment where he's him and the deaf community, they're surrounding a big giant piano, and someone's playing the keys, and they all just put their hands atop the piano, and since they can't hear it, they can feel it, you know. That is so fascinating. That I don't know if you've ever seen Brad Pitt's Babel, one of my favorite movies, one of the best film soundtracks ever. But in the movie Babel, there's this girl who's deaf, and she goes to a club, and instead of like hearing, you know, she's like feeling all the bass hits and all the sub bass, you know, through her body, you know. And this movie does a great job of illustrating that people who are deaf, there's nothing inherently wrong with them. It's not handicapped. It's just what it is. No differently than like I'm not vegetarian and maybe you're vegetarian. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they just have something that I don't have, and vice versa. You know, there's nothing wrong with being deaf. And Reuben, he has to learn this the hard fucking way. All right, throughout this whole film, there's a quote in Avengers Endgame where Thanos goes, "You could not live with your own failure, and where did that lead you? Right back to me." You know, he says something like that, and it's like, damn, like Reuben, he's so stubborn, you know, he's so hard-headed, but at the same time, it's done in such a way that he becomes so relatable. He becomes so sympathetic. You know, everybody knows what it's like to have money and finances be tight. Everybody knows what it's like to chase a dream, and it's just not going that well. You know. Everyone knows what it's like for your life to be feeling normal, heading to a point of origin that you know, but deviation starts to happen. So he's such a sympathetic character, Riz Ahmed. as Reuben. And for the record, this is the best performance I've ever seen from Riz. Holy shit. This man almost had tears coming to my eyes. He played this role so well. Like, there's this moment where Reuben, he freaks out inside of his little mobile home because he's just frustrated dealing with the deafness and trying to marry his old lifestyle with being deaf now, and like he's just like spazzing out, and Olivia Cooke is watching this. Oh my god, it's so good. By the way, shout out to Joe, played by Paul Raci. There's a conversation between Reuben and Joe towards the end of the movie, and fam, I think it's the last conversation between them, but that conversation is so poignant. It is so moving. It's so heartbreaking. It's so motherfucking real. Oh my god, it almost was painful to watch. Oh my god, what was his name? Paul's performance as Joe was so heartfelt and real. By the way, the chemistry between Riz and Olivia was off the charts. The romantic chemistry between Riz and Olivia, it felt so intimate. It felt so convincing. It was almost unnerving. Like, there's a moment in the third act where it's been a while since they've seen each other, and Riz Ahmed, he's on the bed, and Lou, Olivia Cooke, she comes in to embrace him, and like, yo, their chemistry is so bonkers believable. They are so adorable and good looking together. It's just insane. But I oh my god, I was so moved by their, like, the last interactions between the two of them in the third act. Like, I was so moved by that. God damn, I went through so many fucking emotions watching this shit. Damn. There's another fantastic moment where it's a deaf kid and Riz Ahmed. The kid's on top of the slide. Riz is at the bottom of this metal slide, and they're both just doing this. Almost knocked the camera over. But and then they're both of them are deaf in this moment, and it's just fascinating that instead of hearing, they're feeling the vibrations. It's almost like once you're deaf, the world is just these oceans and rivers of different tonalities when it comes to vibrations. It's like everything's vibrating, or it's a vibration, you know what I mean? And that was deep as fuck. The way that the camera sonically puts you into the headspace of Reuben is fantastic. Like, you genuinely, as you watch the film, you feel like your own hearing has changed. Like, you feel like how Riz Ahmed feels. You know what I mean? However Reuben is hearing his physical reality throughout the film, it's like you feel connected to how he's hearing. The way that he is hearing is how you, as the viewer, are hearing. When he's hearing silence, you're hearing silence. When he's hearing distortions and he's trying to make out what people are saying, that's what you're hearing. And when this is not happening, this movie is unintentionally maybe the greatest ASMR movie ever made. This movie was just so real and human to me. Like, again, this is a clean 9 out of 10. There's just something really haunting about it. It kind of reminds me of a distant cousin to Nomadland from Chloe Zhao. There's just something about it, like, it's like, this is another thing that gets me. It's like, Reuben is trying so hard to act like in Reuben's mind, he's just like, oh, well, I know I'm going deaf, but, I'll be able to fix it real quick, and I'll get back to band practice and making albums, and it's no big thing. It's like, bro, no, no, bro, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. Okay, you lost your hearing. Okay, just like in Avengers Infinity War, it's like no, y'all need to accept that you lost. It's like, Reuben, you need to accept, my nigga, that you are deaf and there's nothing you could do about it. Okay, maybe there's certain things there is nothing, Reuben, there's nothing you can do so that your hearing will be as it once was. That's what's so heartbreaking about this movie. You can arguably try to make certain aspects better, but you will never be able to hear, unless it was fucking like, unless it was like 2293. Okay, maybe this is a different story, technologically speaking. But in today's time, my nigga, from the way that he has hearing damage, from the way that he goes deaf, fam, there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing. You have to accept your reality. You know what I'm saying? You cannot just give up. Ooh, that's spooky. You cannot just give up. Listen, it's unfortunate that happened to you so abruptly, but this is your life now. Just accept it. You know what I'm saying? This nigga's, he stayed with a deaf community. Beautiful people. Literally just beautiful people. Shit, there's this mixed, kind of short, stocky, deaf chick. I was just like, damn, she's an old little thicky girl, old thick thing. But you remember who I'm talking about when he's in his RV, Reuben, and he's talking to that thick little stocky mixed chick who's deaf. The chick who's like, oh, you were dating this chick? Oh yeah, she's kind of sexy. I was like, ooh, little thick thing. Anyway, damn. I almost want to shake Reuben and just be like, stop it. You are not going to go on tour anymore. Do you understand me? You were never going to hear like how you thought you were going to hear. Like, stop that shit. Damn. Just continue on with your life the best that you can. You know, this movie almost reminds me of, like, I've thought many times, like, what if I looked at the highway and in the middle of the highway there was this little girl crying and cars were speeding past, almost about to hit the little girl. I've thought about this scenario many times, and every time I would try to go save that little girl. I would try to go save her, regardless of if I became handicapped, you know, murdered by oncoming car. I would try to run out there to save the little girl. It's like Reuben, it's like he's just not at that point in this movie, and your heart just breaks for him because you understand where he's coming from. But it's like, Reuben, fam, just accept what is. You know, he keeps trying to disillusion himself and being like, well, everything's gonna be just like it was before, and it's like, no, it's not. No, it's not, fam. Accept yourself for who you really are. You know? Stop disillusioning yourself. Stop being stubborn. Stop saying you're going to be on tour next week. Stop saying everything's going to go back to the way that it was. It's not. His life would have been so much easier if he just accepted it for what it was. Damn. And another thing this reminds me of, let's see if I can bring it up really quick. So this movie, this is the first time I've ever heard of such a thing. So for the storyboarding with this movie, they used sound only for storyboards. The director, what's his name? Darius Marder. Oh yeah, shout out to him shooting on 35 millimeter. Allegedly he shot on 35 millimeter because, quote unquote, it's my goddamn movie. That's the sound of a true filmmaker right there. I still would prefer Derek C. in France made this movie. But anyways, quote, and really storyboarding with sound, we were thinking about the memory of sound. Just think about that, the memory of sound. How is it that we can remember a song, but we can, I can feel a song in my head? How is that? What is that? So we thought so much about all these things, and we really played with it in the movie. That is fascinating. I want to dig more into this. I would love to talk to the filmmaker about this. But yeah, storyboarding with sound is the most bonkers idea for storyboarding that I think I've ever heard of before. I might actually have to flirt with this idea for my Batman project and my upcoming Blackout project. More information on that in May of this year. Blackout. It's a storytelling experiment that's going to happen on my Twitter exclusively. But there's just so much to take in from this movie. Holy shit. I was just so deeply moved by learning about the deaf community through this film. I love the message that this film has towards the deaf community, that there's nothing wrong with you, you know, you're just different from me. Oh my God. And the last time that Olivia and Riz see each other is so emotional. Like, there's a moment where Olivia is crying, and like it didn't feel fake. It didn't feel like acting. It didn't feel like acting at all. It felt like startlingly real. There's a moment where Riz Ahmed, he's taking off some bandages, and he's like wincing, and like I genuinely could feel his pain. Like, I was wincing with him. I was like, oh Jesus, you know. Their acting was so convincing. Oh my God. Also, Olivia Cooke is Jesus Christ. She's like the most adorable fucking thing I've ever seen since Winona Ryder. Anyway, all of the performances were great. The cinematography is great. The music, when it arrives, is great, but the sound design is to die for. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a storyteller. There's so much to learn here from the sound design, which is just, it's so immersive and atmospheric, so compelling. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this movie, it's a strong 9 out of 10. It's definitely a gut punch type of drama. It's really sad and heartbreaking and thought-provoking. It's not the kind of movie that I would want to revisit often, but the sound design is beyond creatively inspirational. I would highly recommend this movie. Excuse me. And man, I don't know, this movie, it's just there's something about this movie. It's just like, it just makes you want to, be a better person, regardless of how good of a person you were prior to watching the movie. You know, it just makes you want to be more human. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's a 9 out of 10. I would highly recommend this film. And yeah, more reviews coming soon. Let me know what you thought about this film down below. Man, dude, Joe's reaction to when Riz leaves him. What is it? Fucking, let me make sure I got this right. Make sure I got this right. Yeah, Joe's reaction to the last time that he sees Reuben. Man, powerful film. Powerful. Really love this film. Again, 9 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts about this one down below.